Hi, my name is Breanna Greenup, and this is a Garden Grove TV3 special news report. Today, I'm joined by Garden Grove City Manager, Scott Stiles. Thank you so much for joining us, Scott.
Sure, Breanna. It's a pleasure to be here.
Awesome. So today we're going to talk about some updates that you wanted to give us for the city. Let me start out with, we hear that the city of Garden Grove is staying open. Can you explain what that means for the public?
Yeah, sure. Let me just first start out by saying that this has been really tough times for our community, really for all of our communities here in Orange County and around the country. In all my years in public service, I've never experienced anything like this. And so we know that it's really tough on a lot of folks, on a lot of families, a lot of our small businesses, a lot of our great community groups here in Garden Grove. So it's just been really difficult. It's even been, it's been difficult for all of our city employees here in City Hall that are working also, under really different circumstances that we've ever had to work under before. We've had some of our most iconic events canceled, like the Strawberry Festival, which would normally have been coming up this year. I think it's probably the first time it's ever been canceled. A lot of our community chamber events and community foundation events, other things, have had to cancel important events and banquets that they've had. So, it's been a tough time for the whole community. Nevertheless, we've, put all of our resources together as a city. We are open for business. What's really important is, we've just got a great, as our residents know, we've got a great Garden Grove Police Department. They've been doing all of their work with exceptional ability. All of our first responders, our fire personnel, our paramedics and EMTs, everybody's just been doing a tremendous job in the community. I really need to point out also, a lot of other employees, the folks in our Public Works Water Division that maintain all of our water infrastructure, our folks doing economic development, trying to get information out for small businesses, just all across the board. We've been getting meals to seniors that I could talk about a little later on. Mm-hmm. There's a lot going on, but nevertheless, a lot of our important facilities are closed right now. Our family resource centers at Buena Clinton and Magnolia are closed. Our senior center is closed, although we're providing some services outside of those facilities for meals and other things. So we're still trying to provide a broad array of services, for people, and we're trying to follow the guidelines of the state and the county in terms of health procedures, social distancing procedures. And so, right now the community knows we're in stage 1 of the governor's reopening procedures, and we're expecting that the governor will announce that we're going to stage 2 this Friday, which will slightly open up some of our business and public activities a little bit. And so there'll be more information coming out about that. But generally, we're doing what local governments do. We're responding. We're doing what we do. We're providing services, and that's what it takes.
I know you already touched on some actions the city has taken in response to COVID-19, but can you elaborate a little bit more on the actions that you guys have taken?
Yeah, I mean, this is really important. When all of the COVID-19 information really started breaking all throughout the county and throughout our state, and the governor took some initial actions. One of the first things we had to do as local government was declare our own local emergency in conjunction with some of the activities that the state and the county were undertaking. So, what does that mean? It was required for us to close some of the public facilities that I talked about in terms of, not making certain centers available, making sure Unfortunately, kids weren't playing on some of the playground equipment and other things just to keep people safe. So that was all really, really important. And what, as an executive team, we had to create our emergency operations center team. Our residents know Police Chief Tom DeRay. I appointed Chief DeRay to be the head of our EOC Emergency Operations Center. So he's been admirably keeping our EOC team in place. The group meets 2 to 3 times every single week, and it's an opportunity virtually. We're doing Zoom calls and everything just like everybody else is, for all the key departments to come together, at one location. We go around the virtual table. We talk about what the issues are. What do we need to be following up on? What are really, important things that we have to be paying attention to. I will mention that some really important actions that the city has taken. We do have a moratorium, or we've put suspensions in place of street sweeping citations in the community right now. We've deferred penalties for folks who have late payments on their water bills, and we've put a moratorium on rent evictions and foreclosures in the community. And that was all part of the city recognizing just what difficult times that we're in. And then we did other things to help the business community. We normally have hours in place by which delivery trucks can make their deliveries, and the supply chain is so important right now. So we relaxed our supply chain, or our delivery rules, so that if a business like Costco or Vons or Stater Brothers had to receive a shipment of goods, late at night or maybe even the middle of the night, that we wanted to relax that to let those deliveries be made. So there were a lot of things like that were really important. And I really want to emphasize to everyone in our community, we have just a very robust website. If you go to ggcity.org/coronavirus, you'll just find a ton of information there from all of our departments about things that we think might help you out a little bit to kind of get through this pandemic and everything we're going through. So it's got everything for kids, for seniors, for small businesses, just everything. A lot of things that people might not think about. Recreation programs that people can pay attention to. So I'd encourage everybody to go to that website and kind of look at it. I'm sure you're going to find some things there that will be helpful to you, that you might find interesting and something that you can use.
And I'd like to touch on all the Garden Grove employees. They're the reason that all these things are possible. What would you say to their service during this time?
Yeah, we have just a great group of city employees. We have about 600 employees in the city of Garden Grove, and they're all doing their part. Knock on wood, thank God, we have not had a single employee test positive yet, and we want to keep it that way. We put a lot of measures in place, to help keep people safe, just like we know people are doing in their own homes and in businesses and everything else. So great compliments to our staff. Just they continue working and keeping the community in mind, and that's kind of what we do, and that's what we're focused on, is just providing service to the community under these difficult situations. They all have a role to play. I mentioned our police officers, our folks in recreation and community services. Even our internal departments, like our IT department and our human resources department, our finance department, that I could talk to you more about. But everybody's trying to really stay focused on how we can keep our community safe, but at the same time be prepared to get back reopened and do what we can to fight this virus.
I did actually want to touch on finances and talk about the city. If you could briefly talk about the city's financial status and going forward.
Yeah, well, it's a moving target, and every city has their unique challenges based on maybe where they're located or what their most important industries are. Certainly here in Garden Grove, what's really, really important for us is our tourism industry. Everyone knows, given our close proximity to Disneyland, our Great Wolf Lodge Water Park, we've got one of the largest convention centers, the Anaheim Convention Center, just literally walking distance from our borders. All those venues are all closed right now. And so, a big part of our budget, we have about $130 million general fund budget. Probably 20% of that general fund budget comes from our hotel taxes that are paid by all the people that come to visit us from outside of Garden Grove. And that's all revenue that gets used to pay our police officers and our economic development staff and all the employees that work in our parks and recreation and public works folks who are fixing roads and everything else. So, when our hotels are not working at full capacity, that's a big hit for us. The other thing that's probably even bigger is our sales tax, which is about 40% of our general fund revenue. Probably the strength of Garden Grove is the tremendous number of small businesses that we have here in our community. All the restaurants that we have, and just all kinds of other service businesses where people have to make a living themselves and to serve our community. So a lot of those businesses, as we know, are hurting right now. Restaurants, in most cases, can't open unless they're doing delivery or pickup only. So those are all big hits to our general fund budget. I think we work on a fiscal year, so I think we'll be able to get through this fiscal year through the end of June relatively okay. But I think our next fiscal year, next year, is going to be a challenge. We've told our council that we're looking at maybe a $5 million deficit for next year, but that's not taking into account how long some of these issues that we're having with the pandemic, how long they last. So if our tourism industry continues to be slow for a good long time, that's going to it's going to put an additional strain on our budget. I think, and that $5 million deficit is very likely to maybe, increase as we get more data and as we kind of work through this. So it's been tough. What we're trying to do right now is really put cost containment measures into place as much as possible. So that means things like, not filling any vacant positions that we have. Part-time positions that we might normally be hiring, are going to be difficult to fill. Things like travel and training, we put a stop to that. And just non-essential capital projects or things that we might have bought, we're just trying to slow our spending down as much as possible and just put some common sense approaches into how we can kind of get through this next year and a half. Just, unfortunately, just like, all families are having to do to decide how to manage their own budgets, we have to deliver a balanced budget to council. So we're trying to do the same thing, and it's, without having major service reductions to our community. But it's tough. A lot of cities all throughout Orange County are similar to us, and some have slightly different issues, but we're all, fighting to get through this as much as we can.
Yeah. Let's talk about some positives. I want to talk about some positive things that you've seen out in Garden Grove from our residents and businesses, of people that have stepped out and really like helped people during this time. I think that's something everybody would love to hear.
Our faith-based communities here in the city, our churches, our temples, our mosque, have all done some really phenomenal stuff, trying to step up, support people in time of need, whether it's delivering meals, delivering care packages to people, supporting, people in the community. That's all really been important. We've had a lot of our businesses, I have to say, just not our faith-based and our community-based groups and our businesses, people that have come forward and they figured out how to get cloth masks, sometimes surgical masks, sometimes N95s, and get those delivered to especially some of our frontline personnel in our police department and fire and other agencies. It's been really important. It's been really, something that our staff that are working out in the field have really appreciated. Our business community's been very, as we're getting into this testing business and making sure people have the ability to get tested either for the antibody or just with swabs to see if there's an active virus in your system. A lot of businesses are starting to move into that. And we have a lot of people in our community that are actively involved in the diagnostics and analytics of testing and working in labs that are doing testing. And then, I kind of touched on it earlier, but, even though our senior center is not open and some of our family resource centers aren't open, our community services staff deliver about 200 or 300 meals to our seniors through our Meals on Wheels program, where we're still keeping services going. Also in our family resource center for kids and families down in, like in the Boyna Clinton Family Resource Center, Community Center, and the Magnolia Family Resource Center, we're delivering box lunches and snacks to kids and families in the neighborhood where that's needed. And it's been really interesting. We've got a great unified school district here in the community. And, I know our teachers and the school administration has been really supportive of, students. And I have to say, our city council, our 7 members of our city council, who are my 7 bosses, just been really incredibly supportive in giving our staff the resources to go out and make quick procurement of emergency supplies that we need to get out in the community. Great thanks to our city council members for all their support. And, there was just I saw a story the other day at one of the big news stations in Los Angeles did just a story about a community kitchen here called Bracken's Kitchen, where they had a young kid who wanted to go out and help with feeding, bringing some meals to people that were homeless, and somehow he got partnered with our own Bracken's Kitchen here in Garden Grove, and they went out and it was a great story where he got to be a part of what Bracken's Kitchen does on a regular basis of bringing meals to people in need. So, it's just been, all that stuff has been very gratifying, and we're grateful for all the support we get in the community. And so there's not a lot of silver linings in this, and we hope we get through it quickly. But there have been, many demonstrations of great support by people in our community, and we're grateful for that.
I love that story of the little kid. It's very heartwarming, and to see that things like that are going on in our city. Before we wrap everything up, I just would want to ask you, is there anything you want to tell the people of Garden Grove or anything you want to add that we haven't already touched on?
No, other than just to kind of tell people to, kind of keep the faith. I know that's hard to do in these tough times, especially if people are struggling and, maybe you're trying to get through this and, you got laid off from your job. We're trying to do everything we can with our small business community to kind of get things back open as quickly as we can in a safe manner. We all want to kind of get back to the lives that we had, and so I would just say, keep the faith. We appreciate all the patience people have had so far. It's just been tremendous how people have been trying to follow all the rules of social distancing. We hope that this is going to pay off for us in the long run, and we don't have one of these outbreaks kind of resurge its ugly head and hit us later this summer or in the fall. So, I would just say, hang in there. We appreciate all your support. I know from everybody from the city standpoint, and we're going to continue to work as hard as we can to just continue to provide great services to the community.
Thank you so much, Scott, for joining us. And thank you for tuning into GDTV3. If you like this program, please like and follow us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Until next time, I'm Breanna Greenup reporting for GDTV3.